After 18 years cooking Thanksgiving for 30-plus people alone, Dad casually said, "I told them you wouldn't mind," adding 8 more guests with 3 days' notice. I abandoned my cart and booked a flight. Standing in that grocery store aisle, staring at my carefully planned shopping list for 30 people that had just become 38, something inside me finally snapped. Not the dramatic kind of snap you see in movies, but the quiet, calculated kind that comes after years of being taken for granted. I walked away from my half-filled cart, drove straight home, and opened my laptop. The breaking point wasn't just the extra guests. It was Dad's casual assumption that I'd handle it the way he said, "I told them you wouldn't mind." Like my entire holiday didn't matter. Like the 72 hours I'd need to completely recalculate portions, buy additional groceries, and somehow fit 8 more plates around tables I'd already planned wasn't a big deal. After 18 years of this, I was done. I'm Blake, and I've been the family's designated Thanksgiving chef since I was 16. It started when Mom broke her wrist 2 days before the holiday and announced from her painkiller-induced haze that I could handle it. Somehow, I managed to pull together a meal for 23 relatives with 0 experience and no guidance. The praise felt good. Being needed felt like love. That was my first mistake. What began as emergency help became permanent expectation. Every year since, I've single-handedly prepared a restaurant-quality feast while everyone else enjoyed the holiday. The guest list grew from 23 to 30-plus as family expanded, but my role remained the same. Blake's Thanksgiving became the family brand, with relatives requesting specific dishes and bringing friends who'd heard about the incredible meal. The logistics alone were crushing. Shopping for 30 people required multiple grocery trips with calculated lists. Prep work started days in advance. Thanksgiving Day itself was a 12-hour marathon where I missed conversations, football games, and family moments while trapped in the kitchen. I ate standing at the counter while cleaning dishes, long after everyone else had finished and moved to the living room. But I have advantages my family never bothered to notice. I'm a project manager for a major consulting firm, specializing in operational efficiency and resource optimization. I make $78,000 annually and have $52,000 in savings because I've never had time for expensive hobbies or vacations. I know how to analyze systems, identify bottlenecks, and implement solutions. More importantly, I know how to document everything. I also have something my family desperately needs but takes for granted. I'm the only person willing and able to execute their precious tradition. Mom's arthritis makes extended cooking impossible. Dad burns water. My brother Devin lives in a studio apartment and can barely manage cereal. My sister Riley has 3 small children and claims she's too overwhelmed to host anything. Without me, their comfortable arrangement collapses entirely. The real advantage I possessed was professional experience, dealing with entitled clients who expected miracles on impossible timelines. My consulting work taught me to separate emotional manipulation from legitimate requests and to recognize when someone was trying to make their poor planning my emergency. This situation checked every box for unreasonable client behavior. I spent that evening creating what I call my Thanksgiving audit. First, I documented every text, email, and conversation about this year's dinner, starting with Dad's casual announcement about extra guests. Then I calculated the real cost of hosting 38 people, including groceries, $847, my time, 78 hours at my consulting rate of $50, which equals $399, and supplies, $200 plus. Total value delivered, over $4,900 of free labor and materials. Next, I reviewed 18 years of family photos and realized something devastating. In hundreds of Thanksgiving pictures, I appear in maybe a dozen, usually in the background wearing an apron or carrying dishes. I'd missed 18 years of family memories because I was too busy creating the experience for everyone else. I called my college roommate, Cameron, who'd become an event planner in Portland. "Emergency question," I said. "What happens when a caterer gets impossible, last-minute demands?" Cameron laughed. Professional caterers charge 50% rush fees and require 72-hour minimums for guest count changes. Anyone making demands with 3 days' notice gets told to find alternative arrangements. Why? When I explained my situation, Cameron was quiet for a long moment. Blake, you've been providing professional-level catering services for free for almost 2 decades. Do you realize what that's worth? Cameron ran quick calculations. Premium holiday catering in our market runs $75, $120 per person. You've been donating $2,250, $3,600 worth of service annually. That's $4,500, $60,800 over 18 years. The numbers hit me like a physical blow. I wasn't just making dinner. I was running a free catering operation that had cost me tens of thousands in unpaid labor, plus the opportunity cost of every holiday I'd worked instead of enjoyed. Cameron made another excellent point. What's your family's backup plan if you get sick or hurt? I realized they didn't have one. They'd never needed to consider alternatives because I'd always delivered, no matter what they threw at me. That dependency was leverage I'd never recognized. I also called my financial advisor, Quinn, who confirmed what I already suspected. My savings account had $52,000. My job was portable since I worked remotely 3 days a week, and I'd accumulated 6 weeks of vacation time because I never took breaks around holidays. I had complete financial freedom to make any decision I wanted. Quinn asked the key question. What do you actually want your holidays to look like? I wanted to enjoy them instead of working through them. I wanted to feel like family instead of hired staff. I wanted to eat warm food while sitting down and having conversations. I wanted someone else to worry about timing and dishes for once. That evening, I implemented my strategy with methodical precision. First, I booked a last-minute flight to Portland to visit Cameron. Expensive at $680, but I considered it an investment in my sanity. Then I systematically canceled every Thanksgiving preparation I'd made. I canceled my grocery orders, canceled my time off from work, and canceled my availability. The most satisfying part was crafting my response. I didn't get emotional or explain myself extensively. I simply texted Dad. I won't be available to cook this year. The family will need alternative arrangements for 38 people. I'm going out of town. Then I turned off my phone. Thursday morning at 3 a.m., instead of starting turkey prep, I was in an Uber heading to the airport. Instead of calculating oven schedules, I was buying coffee and settling into my window seat. Instead of sacrificing another holiday to other people's expectations, I was finally choosing myself. The guilt was intense during takeoff, but overshadowed by something I hadn't felt in years, anticipation for a holiday I might actually enjoy. Portland was beautiful. Cameron had a small gathering with 8 people, where everyone contributed something. I brought wine and helped with cleanup. We played games, took walks, and had actual conversations. It was the most relaxing Thanksgiving I'd experienced since I was 15. When I finally turned my phone back on Friday, I had 52 messages ranging from angry to desperate to manipulative. The story I pieced together was predictably chaotic. 38 people had arrived expecting their usual feast and found an empty kitchen. Panic ensued. Some left to find restaurants, most of which were closed. Others raided my parents' pantry for whatever they could find. They ended up with a hodgepodge meal of store-bought turkey, instant mashed potatoes, canned vegetables, and frozen pies. Multiple messages called it the worst Thanksgiving ever and blamed me for ruining the holiday. But buried among the guilt trips were messages that gave me hope. My cousin Jordan. I never realized how much work you put into this. I'm sorry we took you for granted. Dad eventually apologized and learned to coordinate potluck arrangements. Devin discovered he could actually cook and now hosts occasionally. Riley contributes sides despite her busy schedule. Mom helps with planning instead of just expecting results. The relatives who stayed genuinely wanted relationships, not just free meals. I still visit Cameron in Portland some years as my reminder that holidays can be about joy instead of obligation.